What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Push me close to the edge, Dylan, but not too close, because I don't want to fall down and go boom, because I don't have Hulk powers. What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome in to another episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's your fellow muscle mommy lovers, the Cowabunga boys, back at it again. KB and Dylan from Underground Studios.
Muscle mommy.
We got a brand new Marvel show to break down. It is week 1 of 9 with our new MCU hero, Jennifer Walters, attorney at law, a.k.a. She-Hulk. We're going to dive into everything episode 1, things you might have missed. Your boy took notes on this episode. I'm going to try to do this from here on out. I'm going to attempt, since it's now on Thursdays and these podcasts are coming out on Fridays, I'm going to attempt to watch the episode twice, once for pleasure and then once to take notes. So we have our own notes. We have our own things that we pick up on. And I have a whole slew of notes here, Dylan, in a nice little Google Doc here. That we'll be breaking down throughout this. Plus, by the time you guys are listening to this, it will still be preseason.
It's even funnier because Kyle's never even watched the show.
It's the best. It's House of the Dragon preseason, where Dylan will take the reins for his favorite show of all time. Asterisk, underscore, allegedly.
Besides the last season and a half, yeah.
As House of the Dragon will debut on Sunday night on HBO and be on HBO Max as well. So Dylan will... We got some key points to hit on for the show for the people. We're going to cover it alongside She-Hulk, obviously, and then once September rolls around, we're going to have 3 big-ass shows to cover, which is going to be wild.
No sleep.
No sleep for the wicked. And then, of course, we'll get into the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by the homies over at Pickup, because there's a lot of news to talk about as well on today's episode. But before we get started, make sure you're following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, on Instagram. Follow Dylan on the Twitter machine at Dylan Mazzola. He told me once we get to 300 followers on Twitter, he'll add StreamerSZN to his Twitter bio. That's what I've been told per sources who have sources. 300 is the magic number.
True. He's not lying. Kyle never lies.
And you can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Follow the network at Underground PHI. It's where everything comes through. And, of course, check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple and Spotify. And, Dylan, in the Apple Podcast reviews, what should the people be leaving?
They should be leaving, well, first of all, some nice things about us. No, but it should
you should call us handsome.
Yeah, say we look good. No,
I love you.
Well, I love you. No, say what you want Kyle and I to watch via any other streaming services out there. I say this every week, and I'll keep saying it because why not? We have all of them combined. We're like the Infinity Gauntlet. You know, we can watch and stream anything. And let us know what's popping, because there's a bunch of shows coming out, like Kyle said, for us to cover, and then there's also a bunch of ones we aren't covering. There's also old school gems that Kyle and I might need to undiscover or undiscover.
Started doing one.
Okay.
I started the X-Men animated series, Dylan.
Nice, dude. That show comes out like super crazy off the rip.
Off rip, that show is nuts. I saw the scene with Wolverine, rubbing the photo album, the photo frame there.
One of the best memes that still circulates to this day.
Still holds true, even though it came out in the year of our Lord 1992. Hashtag bars.
I wasn't even born yet.
Neither was I. And then, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. We are currently sitting, as we record this on Thursday night, at 221 subscribers. We're on that road to 1K. We have some incentives across the network on all of our franchises with specific things that we're going to do on the YouTube channel once we hit specific subscriber thresholds. Obviously, the big one is 1K, where Dylan is going to cosplay as a certain favorite character of ours that he mentioned last week. Once we get to 250 subscribers on the channel, DJ and I, for the Outside the Box podcast, will start doing halftime shows for PLL games, a whole bunch of stuff. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You get full video episodes of every Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast every single week. StreamerSZN for the next 9-ish weeks. You're going to get every Friday. Every Friday on YouTube. Every Friday in your podcast feed. So subscribe. Click that like button. Ring the bell icon. Comment down below with your thoughts on She-Hulk, House of the Dragon, shows and movies you're watching, everything in between. YouTube.com, search Underground Sports Philadelphia. Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Tomahawk Shades, best small batch eyewear in the game. Summertime's still here, so when you're outside, you got to rock those Tomahawk Shades. When you're watching She-Hulk, House of the Dragon, you should have your Blue Light Plus glasses on. And if you're like Dylan and you need those prescription lenses, they got them for you. So go to TomahawkShades.com, fill up your cart with everything that you need to be styling and profiling year-round, whether it's indoors, outdoors, or in between. And when you go to checkout, use code USP in the little promo code checkout box. It's USP, 3 letters, super easy. You get 25% off your entire order at TomahawkShades.com. That's promo code USP at TomahawkShades.com for 25% off your entire order from the homies over at Tomahawk Shades. Kenwood Beer, Dylan's favorite beer to crack open in the courtroom. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the all-new and improved Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. And our pals over at Bino Board. Go to binoboard.com. Check it all out. They got a brand new board that just launched earlier this week called the Gila Monster. Instead of turf, it is sand. It looks super cool. It's sick. It's orange and black, Dylan. Not that we acknowledge that team, but the color scheme is sweet. And you can get your hands on it at binoboard.com, as well as any other board, customized ones that they already have made, accessories, merch, you name it, and use code BINHOUSP, that's BINHOUSP, for 10% off your order at binoboard.com.
That's a good deal. I might have to buy that one, but you know who won't buy that one? Anakin Skywalker. He doesn't like sand.
It's coarse. He doesn't like that sand. But Dylan, you know what we do like? Our favorite muscle mommy, She-Hulk, is here. I feel like this is...
I should have never said that word around you.
I got the shirt. I got the swag ready. Come on. Tell me this shirt doesn't go hard, people. Look at that. Look at that. She's here. She's here. She's green. And she's ready to kick some ass in the courtroom and out of the courtroom. She-Hulk Episode 1 dropped today, Thursdays. It will be out every Thursday on Disney+. So we'll be recording on Thursdays, and it'll be dropping on Fridays with our She-Hulk breakdowns. But Dylan, before we get into, scene by scenes and breaking this whole thing down, what are your first takeaways on She-Hulk Episode 1? What did you like? What did you dislike? And where do you think this show is heading now after one episode?
Well, I think we're going to obviously get a lot of courtroom drama, with superhero stuff or Hawking on the side. She makes it very clear throughout the episode she does not want to be a hero, which is interesting because it's not always the case. A lot of like Marvel characters, some are kind of like, I don't want to say bred for like stardom, but like some, it does feel like they take a journey that's meant to be a superhero, where she takes a different journey and she's literally just a woman grinding, trying to become a lawyer, becomes a lawyer, and then becomes a 7 foot or 6'7", however tall she is.
6'7", I believe, is the actual height.
Which, that kind of throws a little crinkle in your law plans, because she's trying to go and become an awesome lawyer. We appreciate that. But so where it goes, I think it goes. I think it's going to dabble with the courtroom, because she made it very adamant that she did not want to give that up. My first impressions, I was I don't want to say blown away, but I was surprised in a good way. I didn't know what to expect. I think I said that before about this show. Wasn't looking forward or not, like I was just kind of in the middle. Like I was just going to see what happens, and it played well. It had decent pacing. There was some humor that actually made me laugh, which is good. The running Captain America Chris Evans joke throughout the episode is hilarious. And if you
second MCU show to like joke about Captain America, which is pretty cool.
Captain America is just a himbo in the MCU, because that man gets talked about. I guess in real life that's also pretty relevant. Chris Evans. No, and then what I didn't like, you told me after or before the pod, and it makes sense. This was not initially supposed to be episode 1, and I could kind of tell because it felt a little joggy. Not as bad as when we were watching Falcon.
Yeah,
Bucky
Falcon Winter Soldier.
That you could really tell there was like hardcore.
Yeah,
cuts.
You could tell like this episode was written the way it was supposed to be. It was just
kind of out of place ish
in terms of just like editing. Like you could tell like they had to quick fix a lot of things to get it ready to be in episode 1. But yeah, this was supposed to be episode 8, which is kind of wild that they were going to wait all the way until the penultimate episode to kind of be the origin story. But I did see some other things too, where they were plotting out Abomination's like court case to be a multi-episode thing, and that kind of just got thrown to the wayside a little bit in terms of just pacing and where they wanted the show to be.
Well, it's weird because Tim Roth and Charlie Cox were listed on IMDb, I think, with 9 or 8 episodes each. We didn't see either one yet, so that. If that's accurate, that implies and they're going to be in every episode from here on out. What I didn't like, though, the only thing I didn't really like is the CGI was hit or miss. So there were parts where I actually thought looked good. And that fight scene in the court, though, man, like Kyle was joking about it. It looked like if you've seen Austin Powers, Goldmember, and if you've seen the Fat Bastard fight scene, literally, Kyle made me think of this when I saw what's her face? Who's the villain who burst into the court?
Titania.
I literally heard, I hope my cable crew is ready. But yeah, that was cheesy. But maybe it's cheesy on purpose.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about before we started recording too. Like, it looked and felt a little cheesy, but it works.
Yeah, because it does fit.
It fits like that, courtroom comedic, breaking the fourth wall.
It's going for like a PG-13, like lighthearted, like NCIS or Law and Order mixed with like Deadpool.
Yes, and everybody has talked about with She-Hulk, like her character is Deadpool before Deadpool existed, which is how you should kind of mentally approach She-Hulk in terms of like the comedy aspect. She's gonna break the fourth wall. The big inspiration for this show, which I don't know if you've watched it, I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my to-do list. The show Fleabag. They have pulled heavily from that in terms of
I
just
heard of it, but I haven't really dabbled.
The breaking the fourth wall type of stuff, the quick hitting comedy type of stuff. They pulled a lot from Fleabag as like inspiration, which is really cool. So I mean, I think for the most part, you and I are on the same page in terms of what we liked. Like, there was a lot to enjoy from this episode, even though it was only 35 minutes if you include the mid-credit scene in there. I thought the pacing for 35 minutes was well done.
Yeah, it felt good. They covered a lot. You saw her do a little lawyer stuff. You got a nice backstory, but it wasn't obviously a long backstory because it wasn't even the entire episode, and the episode was short. So I do like that because I think as a society, people who have watched countless superhero
Okay,
movies,
Jared Leto.
yeah, I was gonna say, no, I was just gonna say I think the backstory can sometimes like just
Drag. Yeah.
like for superheroes you've already seen before, like Superman, Batman, etc., etc., etc. Captain America becomes back as another actor, or the recast of 10 years from now. We don't need to see their stories again.
I thought this was like one of the best like character introduction pieces of Marvel content we've gotten in a while. I think it's up there TV wise. I think it's top tier in terms of just introducing her character, who she is, the way that they introduce her with her kind of talking to us about how she became the Hulk. And I think it's up there in terms of just new character introduction for me with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, introducing Shang-Chi.
Yeah, and that's the way they're doing the fourth wall. That's where it feels like the TV show. That's where it feels almost like a sitcom in terms of like, how like certain characters, I'm blanking, but there are tons of them that do on TV, where they turn to the camera and they're like, so this is how I messed up, or this is how I, you know what I mean? And that's exactly what you did. And that's also Deadpool, like we said. So it's interesting, and I'm curious, like how far they explore that comedic like avenue, like breaking the fourth wall and that kind of comedy, because it can be very funny or it can be cheesy or it can be both. So yeah, I'm curious.
So I don't know if you caught this in the opening Marvel Studios title sequence and everything. Plop Jane Foster, Lady Thor in the character mashup in there.
Did not see that. I'm slacking. I still haven't seen that movie. Is it on Disney Plus yet?
I want to say it's coming soon.
Okay, that's what I'm just waiting for at this point.
So Jane Foster included in the montage there, and now instead of Moon Knight in the M, it is reverting back once again to our boy Simu Liu. Shang-Chi was in the M of Marvel Studios towards the end of the mashup, which I'm wondering if Moon Knight's going to be in more of like the cosmic level versions of the Marvel Studios mashup, and then Shang-Chi is kind of, street level.
Shang-Chi, though, is a pretty heavy hitter. We saw in the movie. I mean, because there's different adaptations of him. But, like, as far as what we've seen from our MCU, he's going to be one of the heavy hitters, in my opinion. I don't know, you probably agree with me.
Yeah.
Like,
plus, there's connections to Shang-Chi in She-Hulk with, obviously, Bruce Banner being in that post-credit scene.
And, like, yeah, exactly. And, like, not like that's kind of why they're introducing, She-Hulk opens up doors, but they kind of need more heroes that aren't street level. Like, I'm not knocking any of these people, so if you're fans of them, don't get mad. But, like, as much as we love Yelena and Kate and Clint, they're people with, like, bows and sticks. Like, realistically, if they fight someone who is part of the Hawk family, which I'm sure that's in the news part, because Mr. Mark Ruffalo said he's down to do that comic book line.
There's a lot of Hulk news in the news section this week.
Yeah, if that ever kind of event transpired, and which might be what they're going for, those kind of characters get folded like a lawn chair. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So it's important to have people like She-Hulk and characters introduced.
Totally forgot too, as we get into this, that She-Hulk is based in Los Angeles. Hello, West Coast Avengers. Hello, Kang Dynasty, probably taking place in LA or San Francisco. I don't know if you picked up during her kind of reciting her speech in that opening scene where she says, those with the most power have the most to answer for. I was like, Uncle Ben? Aunt May?
It's Uncle Ben, but it's like she's accusing a superhero almost.
Yeah, it was almost her own. It was like lawyer speak of the "with great power comes great responsibility" line.
So she's practicing prosecuting someone who's a superhero or a supervillain.
And we all know who was working for one: Peter Parker, Tom Holland, Spider-Man, a really good lawyer who is gonna make an appearance at some point during She-Hulk. Also, the other line that I picked up on that kind of relates to that is when the the male lawyer in there said that he goes, "You're going to listen to a paralegal over another lawyer." I was like, that's also interesting because how is that going to kind of play out with Matt Murdock and Jennifer Walters' relationship in terms of, coexisting and stuff like that. That was something my ears kind of perked up on. It's like, oh, she's not gonna listen to a lot of other lawyers.
Yeah, that's a good point. She's gonna kind of go with her own, like go with the flow, but in terms of like her flow, like not go with like go against everyone else, which is interesting because, like you said, we've already met one paralegal, one lawyer in the same firm, and then we also met Matthew Murdock's a lawyer. So you're right, and there's probably more addition to that, so it should be interesting.
And then we get the first fourth wall break where Jennifer Walters closes the door and just starts talking to us and wondering how we're going to understand this lawyer show, and gives us her backstory on how she became She-Hulk. And that's when we learn how, in the Shang-Chi post-credit scene, Bruce was Bruce. Because we've been wondering that for almost an entire year, Dylan. Shang-Chi came out almost a year ago, which is wild to think about. It came out Labor Day weekend 2021, and we've all been wondering, how did Smart Hulk revert back to Bruce Banner? And now we know. He had a prototype device that he put onto his arm to help him revert back, to heal himself up. And we're getting stories about Captain America and, is he a virgin? Who was he hanging out with? His whole, we're talking more Captain America and everything. And then, out of nowhere, from the clouds, we get a giant spaceship. Which, going back and watching, Dylan, the people at home, I need you all to go back to a time and place known as 2017, when one movie known as Thor Ragnarok came out. Because that little spaceship that floated down in front of the car that caused that car crash was a Sakaar spaceship. What is a Sakaar spaceship doing looking for the Hulk?
They're trying to get their champion back.
Bingo! So that's something we gotta kind of keep in the back of our brains in terms of the intertwinings of Thor Ragnarok and the Hulk storyline from that.
Although didn't Thanos blow up that planet? I thought he talks about.
I don't know. I know the Grand Master, Jeff Goldblum's character, is still alive. So that his whole arc is still kind of unknown in terms of MCU canon. But that crash scene as well, when it goes slow motion, we got the Cheetos flying in the car. I'm going to say it very similar to that 2016 Deadpool 1 opening scene when he gets in the crash. And everything's going slow motion and everything like that. A lot of ties to Deadpool with She-Hulk, which is very interesting. So we get the crash. We see how...
I sense your tinfoil hat coming out soon with the way you're talking.
Oh, it's all over the place, brother. We see how the blood transfusion from the comics happens, not as scientific, as you will, in the MCU.
Oops, I dripped on you, bro.
Jed, I'm bleeding. Get off of me, Jed.
I was like, really? Really?
Which... The Hulk's blood getting transferred to people is nothing new in the MCU. We saw this happen in the 2008 Incredible Hulk film. The soda bottle with Stan Lee, and with the Hulk's blood dropping onto the head of the leader, one Sam Stern, when his head was kind of pulsing and everything. I have a feeling he might pop up in this show as a cameo, being part of the Thunderbolts potentially, being part of a reincarnation of Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Haven't seen him since 2008. It's been a long time. He can't just be, gone for good. But we've seen the Hulk's blood land on other people, get into other people's bloodstreams, and how it's kind of affected them one way or another. We see it now, where Jennifer Walters turns into the Hulk, runs into the woods like a scared baby deer, and then wakes up, and she's at a sports bar, Dylan. and she walks into the sports bar, and that's when we see our very first QR code of She-Hulk, which if you scan the QR code, it brings you to the Marvel Unlimited website, and it is for issue 1 of She-Hulk.
Dude, I like how they're doing that. And also, speaking of Marvel Unlimited, what's his face better give me the sign-in to his comic book thing?
Facts.
There's also an Iron Man helmet too, like showing.
Yes, I have that on my list in just a second. I am reverting back though, because remember when Jen brings up that she is the smartest in the family, they also bring up somebody named Ched, who the fuck is Ched? Well, Dylan, I did some research.
Is it a Hulk variant?
Ched is also one of the Hulk cousins, if you will, and Ched's mom in the comics is pretty damn smart herself, and is pretty much attempts to kill Jennifer Walters and her dad. Not all is happy-go-lucky in the Hulk universe. So maybe Ched is just a name drop, but who knows if we see Ched down the line.
Dude, the Hulk universe is an interesting universe.
It's a wild place, so keep Ched in the back of your mind, keep Thor Ragnarok in the back of your mind.
Ched's either going to be like a fraternity Hulk or a redneck Hulk, right? There's no other, like...
Or Red Hulk.
Oh!
So we get Jen at the sports bar and everything, and she goes into the bathroom, and they do a very fantastic typical girls' night out in the bathroom, making sure everybody's good, and take care of Jen. And then she walks out, and she's getting catcalled, she's getting hit on, and then she hulks out, which is fantastic stuff there. And then cue the Moon Knight music, because every day Jen wakes up...
She wakes up in a tiki bar.
In Mexico, which it obviously didn't happen, but I don't know if your brain went to this as well. I was like, wonder when we saw like trailer clips and everything, because we didn't know exactly where we were, but I was like, I wonder if that's where Eddie Brock was at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home. But obviously we come to find out that Jen gets taken to Hulk's humble abode that he has spent all of the blip at, that he and Tony Stark built together. And that's where Hulk kind of learned to live symbiotically with Bruce Banner and the Hulk as one. And he's got himself a nice little lab, Dylan. And inside that house, like you mentioned, there is an Iron Man mask that I believe is from Age of Ultron, when the Ultron Sentry had some of the Iron Man armor on, because the eyeballs were kind of drilled out. It was kind of, messed up a bit. So it looked like that there. And then I don't know if you caught what was behind the Iron Man mask that was on a nice little shelf.
What was it?
There just so happened to be a helmet that the Hulk was wearing in Thor Ragnarok while he was on Sakaar, which he did not have with him when he and Thor escaped. So during the blip, tinfoil hats on, ladies and gentlemen.
So basically you're either on to something or it's a goof.
Or both.
Oh, that's true.
The Hulk having that Sakaar spaceship come down and locating he and Jen, and then him also having his champion's helmet from Sakaar when he was the champion. The Hulk has to have gone back to Sakaar at some point during the blip, because he did not have that helmet with him when he left with Thor at the end of Thor Ragnarok.
Maybe he had Heimdall pop him back. I don't know.
One way or another, I think there's a real possibility that one Bruce Banner made his way back to Sakaar to secure some things he left behind, and some of the good peeps over at New Rockstars brought up a point that in the comics, Dylan, the Hulk does have a son. at one point named Scar. And maybe, just maybe, they're laying a little bit of seeds for something we'll get to later on in the show with that World War Hulk alleged fan-theorized project.
I hope so.
That the Hulk's son might be coming through to the MCU at some point.
That would be really cool. And I agree with this tinfoil hat theory. Well, I mean, I'm not sure if it's real, but I hope it's right, rather.
So we got the Hulk blip bunker, as I dubbed it. He's got all this science going on, and as Jen is, recovering, he's able to get samples of her blood, fixes his arm completely and everything, and then he kind of tries to explain to Jen that her blood was able to heal his arm and he could get back to being Smart Hulk. And she was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a Hulk. I don't want to be a hero. Like, this is ridiculous. And then we get the scene from the first trailer where she's put in that torture chamber and has to kind of try to escape. And she hulks out real good. And I can't help but laugh and just chuckle every single time I see Hulk say, yes, yes, yes. And then she smashes the door and was like, no, no.
Yeah, the no is what made me laugh, because it's just ironic to see the character that used to be destructive and destroy cities and uncontrollable fits of rage, and now he's like, no, bad. Like, no, no, no. And it's even funnier when she's like, oh, no, this is me. And he's like, what the?
Yes.
What the?
Why are you talking to me like a feral horse? And then we realize that Jen doesn't have that alternate personality from the Hulk. It's kind of just her in control, which from the trailers, we've also seen Emil Blonsky, Abomination, also kind of in control of his hulking out and being in control of his own personality, and there's no alternate personality there. And I liked some of the theories I saw on Twitter where Blonsky and Jen Walters have control over their hulking out, where Bruce doesn't, because he was kind of self-medicating, which he kind of goes into, where, he had to fight a robot or an alien, or Natasha had to tell him a lullaby. And, he was kind of self-medicating for 10 years and kind of maybe messed with himself a bit too much. And that's why he can't really control his hulking out, where the other two, it kind of just happened to them and they were kind of able to stay in control.
Yeah. Although when they're fighting a little bit later, you kind of hear him get mad for a second.
Yeah.
And it almost seemed like, I don't know if you thought it too, it almost seemed like the Hawk was coming out. Not Bruce and Hawk together, just Hawk coming out.
Oh, yeah.
He made a couple noises and I was like, oh, Jen, you about to die.
We also get a nod to Pixar and Bing Bong and Inside Out, which was pretty cool. Nice little nod once again there with the cross properties of Marvel and Pixar. Jen then says she's going to go back to LA, and it just kept resonating with me that she's in LA, but in the trailers and clips we've seen, Matt Murdock and Daredevil popping up. Is Jen going to make her way to New York at some point? Is everything, with the place that's hiring her to kind of defend Emil Blonsky, is that in LA? Where exactly? I'm very intrigued in terms of, traveling, where this show is going to take us.
We never know. For all we know, Matt could go to LA to represent a case he couldn't turn down.
Very
It's
true.
unlikely because, he's presumably doing a superhero alter ego, and that would put a hold to it. But you never know. He does enjoy being a lawyer, so you know what I mean.
A really good one at that.
We don't really know how he fits into our MCU yet, because the Netflix version of him wasn't really our MCU, and the only part of him we got in the MCU was a really good lawyer cameo, and nothing else. So for all we know, maybe they kind of reset him, and this is early on in his Daredevil days, and this could be one of his first cases.
Yeah, 100%.
Or it could be vice versa. It could be he's a senior lawyer or tenured lawyer, and I don't know. Who knows?
And then we also get some yoga sessions with Hulk and Jennifer Walters, and also I think the funniest bit that made me laugh the hardest was the air horn going off in Jen's ear, and she goes, "Was the air horn necessary?" And Hulk says, "For comedy purposes, yes."
That was funny. Yeah, I like that too.
They start doing yoga. Jen's talking about trying to just tighten her butt as much, and I like before we started recording, like the slight raunchiness and the slight just grittiness of this show, where there is cursing going on. There's a flip of the bird that happens later on. The mid-credit scene, we'll get to that. There's a lot of just Marvel pushing the envelope a little bit, which you and I both really like, in terms of catering to all fan bases, not just your kid demographic.
Yeah, you have to. There are tons of people who watch Marvel properties. You can't just, unfortunately, I'm sure people, parents don't want to hear this, but you can't just cater to the kids. You have to pander to everyone. That's why we're seeing people like Moon Knight and Daredevil and Deadpool, Punisher, etc. come back into the fold, because there has to be different mediums.
As Michael Jordan once said, "Fuck them kids."
I love that quote. Funny story. I had that as my Twitter background photo for like a hot second, and then my mom never checks Twitter, and then she checked Twitter. I guess one day, it was like a holiday break years ago, and she was like, "Why do you have this as your profile picture, your background picture?" Like, take that off. Take it off. And I'm like, you don't get it. It's like a quote. She's like, I know the quote. I watch basketball, Dylan. She was just like, I
don't question me.
She was like, yeah, it was just funny as hell.
We also get another fourth wall break during the Hulk training, where She-Hulk kind of turns to the camera, but then Hulk hears her speak to the camera, which I found very interesting. He looked at her while she's looking at us. Eric Voss from New Rockstars brought this up on Inside Marvel, which is New Rockstars' She-Hulk after show. Do you think, obviously they say that Jen doesn't have a, Hulk personality, but he brought up a point, and it's kind of just a theory, tinfoil hat, if you will. Could Jen's Hulk personality be her fourth wall breaking, where like we as the viewer are her Hulk personality almost, where like that is kind of where the gamma radiation gets into her DNA, gets into her blood, and it makes her break the fourth wall, and we're the ones that her Hulk personality talks to?
That's an interesting theory. I don't think it's going to be right. I just think
I don't either, but I like that as like a headcanon.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, as far as our tinfoil, that's like really tinfoil hatty. That's like me turning the microwave on to not get abducted by aliens. Like that's some freaky stuff.
That's you hanging from the fan while it spins.
Yeah, and going like we were
talking like my microphone was before we started recording.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, somehow, some way, through Dylan's headphones, my microphone sounded like I was Jabba the Hutt or Watu. He had to grade the faith in my mic.
It was hilarious. I wish I could have recorded it.
So we get Jen, all trained up. She's ready to go back to LA. Hulk tells her the door's always open, and she says, "I'll see you at the next family dinner," which we get in the credit, like artwork and everything. We see a scene of a family dinner going down, so I assume later on in this series we're gonna get Hulk family meetups going down, which is very fun to look ahead to.
Let's just hope they don't bleed into each other.
Everyone just hulks out, gets in the food.
A legit family of Hawks. Not even they're actually just gonna go with like a Cheers or a Seinfeld or an Office, some kind of like sitcom style.
It's like Friends.
Yeah, Friends. There you go. Like Friends style of Hawk or Full House.
That's Hawks. Amazing. So then we get Jen back in the courtroom, telling us, and that's how everything happened. So she knows she's a Hulk. Bruce knows she's a Hulk. Her friend Nikki knows, who is the paralegal that we saw at the beginning of the episode. And now we know. So I
Her
think
parents know too, right?
I think so. At least some sort of levels that her parents know that she's okay, because Bruce called them earlier in the episode. But I do like that she acknowledges, and now we know. And then she goes out and is ready to be lawyer Jen, and she's in the courtroom and everything. I couldn't really pick up on who was who Jen was kind of going head to head with in that court case. I'm sure that'll come out at some point.
It's probably
Or it might just be some sort of throwaway
true.
with the older guy that was in there. But then we get Titania bursting through the court walls like we saw in the trailer. And Nikki's like, Jen, you gotta do your thing. It's your civic duty. And she's like, oh, I really like this outfit. And then we get Jen hulking out. And we get Jen versus Titania. And
it wasn't even versus, bro. It was a one-sided affair.
Yeah, Jen absolutely dusts her. Shout out to Thanos. And Titania gets cuffed up. Jen gets back into her regular form. And then we get a nod to a Philly legend. Who's that girl? Shout out to Eve. That was amazing. And then we cut to the credits. The credit artwork was awesome. Whoever the artist was, fantastic artwork throughout the credits. And then we get our first mid-credit scene, very similar to Miss Marvel, where we got a mid-credit scene in episode 1. We get Jen pretending to be drunk, talking about Captain America and how that ass did not deserve to die a virgin. And Hulk then discloses that Cap did not die a virgin. He lost his virginity with a girl in 1943 on the USO tour. And Jen then exclaims, Captain America, fuck! And then we cut to, but we all know Captain America fucks. And Dylan, I have to ask you, who do you think said girl was on the USO tour back in 1943?
The USO tour is when he's selling war bonds, right?
Correct. That is like the man with the plan, propaganda era.
His boo thing is not with him, right? She's off doing...
Correct.
So I just think it was one of those girls that he was traveling with.
A lot of people think it was one of the dancers or something. I saw Jessica Clemens from New Rockstars bring up, there's a girl, I forget the character's name, but Steve meets her at that USO tour event, and they lock eyes, and you can tell they got a little hot and steamy for 1943. And it's also very funny because that same actress is the one that plays a young Mama Quill, Peter Quill's mom, back in the throwback scene with Ego. And not the same character, though, because...
No, I was going to say something out of pocket, so thank you for that.
But, hey, let us know who you think Cap was sitting in that chair,
Nothing's wrong
bending over backwards with.
With a little bump and
in the comment section on YouTube, let us know who you think Cap was Marvin Gaye and getting it on with.
I think it's hilarious that was the joke. I also think it's hilarious because I personally thought it was even more hilarious just because, like, the whole, like, joke, he was frozen, a virgin.
Yes.
Like, and then, like, he presumably didn't get it for a while because, he literally gets unfrozen and they're like, ha ha ha, go fight aliens, go fight your best friend, go learn everything because you were frozen for 80 years. Like, you want to try Tinder, Cap? You don't even know how to use that.
And then that is episode 1 of She-Hulk, which Dylan and I were both very impressed with how episode 1 went. And as we always do, we give our own score. And Dylan, I'm bringing it back. I'm going to have you guess the average audience score and the average tomato meter score, which, I have to preface this, fuck all of the losers who are in their 30s that happen to be men that are trying to sabotage the ratings of She-Hulk on IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. Fuck all the way off. You wanted a comic book universe.
Yeah.
Accept it for what it is with the female heroes that are in said comic universe. With that being said, Dylan, what score are you giving to episode 1?
So I'm going to say, because of what you just said, I'm going to say, like, the average, like, numerical rating, like, 1 through 10, and I'm going to say that is lacking, and I'm going to say that's, like, around, like, a 6.2. And then for the Rotten Tomatoes, because that's not as easy to bomb, I'll say the Rotten Tomatoes is like 88%.
Pretty damn close on both. The average audience score is a 70%, which I think will go up as more people watch this weekend. And then the average tomato meter, which is the critic score, which I believe is based on, not exactly sure how many reviews, but it's at 87%. Pretty damn high for an opening episode on Disney Plus with an MCU title.
Has there been a stat yet about how many views they've had today?
I don't know yet, but I will try to find that.
I only ask because it's almost 9 o'clock now, so they probably have an idea roughly of, you know what I mean? Yes, like how much they're going to get traffic wise.
So Dylan, what is your episode 1 of She-Hulk Attorney at Law score?
So I'm trying to think about that because it's better than I liked it more than Miss Marvel. I don't know where it's going to end up ranking because it has more episodes than some of the. It's 9 episodes, right? Or is it 6?
Yeah, same amount as WandaVision.
Yeah, so it has more episodes than some of the other shows, so that kind of puts it in a weird place. We have to take that for a grain of salt. So I think initially to play it safe, I'm going to go with a more conservative grade because we have more criteria to cover. But no, I don't want to like bomb it like those assholes did. So I'm going to go with like a. I'm just made a fart noise there. I'm going to go like a 7.3.
That's pretty high for an opening episode for Dylan.
Yeah, I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be like the good cop, bad cop routine with Kyle and I. I'm trying to start that. I'm trying to be like a more, like a stricter grader, if you will. I've kind of done that the last couple of shows. But yeah, it's not bad.
I really enjoyed this episode in terms of just, like we said earlier, like the pacing for an episode 1, it being an origin story episode, a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of fill in the blanks for Hulk, which I think is very important for this story, especially if Hulk is going to be in all 9 episodes. I really it's the comedy is there. I think it's going to continue. I'm going to go an 8.5. I really enjoyed this one.
You're going to have to do math. I don't know what that averages together.
The mid-credit scene was very funny. Plus, I'll say this now, allegedly, saw this via Culture Crave, the first 4 episodes of She-Hulk will have mid-credit scenes.
And if they're going to feed us like they did with the one today, like if they're funny or impactful, I'm okay with that. Because there have been a lack of quality credit scenes in recent
100%.
Marvel projects. Like whether you like or dislike the new Marvel phase and like some of the shows and stuff, I think most of us as Marvel fans, we can all like actually agree that a lot of the credit scenes have just kind of been like, meh. Not all of them, most of them.
A lot of them have been kind of just like,
I can't even recall some of the other show credit scenes. That's how not impactful they were. I don't remember them.
Yeah. So our total combined score for episode 1, Dylan, is 7.9.
That's not bad at all.
It's not bad. So She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, every Thursday. We're breaking it down here on StreamerSZN, and that was episode 1.
I have a feeling the show we talk about next will have a lower score, but I'll save that.
Episode 1 of 9 in the books for She-Hulk, which is it's going to be a fun ride. I'm excited for where this show is going to kind of take us along, because it is the final MCU show in terms of episode by episode of 2022. So Dylan, let's head to your favorite universe. It's House of the Dragon preseason time. Dylan, we
I like saying it's my favorite because you like torturing me.
We all know that I have not watched Game of Thrones. I am not a Game of Thrones guy.
It's because I get it. I'm a fan of the show, and it did get overhyped. People probably told you to watch it, and you were like, no. And who knows? I'm sure Kyle can honestly, admittedly say, maybe you can disagree with me, but at one point in your life, who knows? Maybe you'll try watching it again because life's so long. But as of now, you haven't watched it, and that's fine.
And I think I'm gonna give this a try for podcast purposes. I'm gonna watch House of the Dragon, and I think it'll be fun for me because it is a prequel series.
And you have no fucking
I have
idea
no
what's going on.
fucking clue what I'm getting into. There's going to be 10 episodes this season. And we have Via Culture Crave as well. Shout out to them. Some known details, some key details here. And then I'm also going to let Dylan take the reins, his expectations, what he thinks is going to happen in this show. And we'll have a dragon meter, if you will.
Yo,
So-
I know. I speak for everyone. Kyle probably as well if he's trying it. We want the dragons. We want all the dragons, right? Like
Allegedly, 9 out of the 17 are going to be in season 1.
that's a lot of dragons.
Or it might be episode 1. I forget what it is, but there's
shit.
going to be at least 17 dragons, I think, this season.
They said we got to spend the whole budget on all the dragons. Episode 1. That's why they're merging.
Facts. So here's the timeline for everybody at home. So 282 AC is Robert's Rebellion from Game of Thrones.
Robert Baratheon.
Dylan, let me give me a little backstory on what that exactly means.
So in Game of Thrones, if you've watched it, and for Kyle, you haven't watched it, in season 1, right? There's like a giant kingdom, King's Landing. It like rules everything. Essentially,
I know that
It tries
name.
to. Yeah. So there's the king, and it's King Robert. He literally won the throne by rebelling against the previous, typical like medieval stuff. It happened in real life. So I'm assuming by the name of that they're going to go back and we're going to explore the rebellion.
So that happened in 282 AC. Years 129 to 131 AC is
Yes, sir.
being dubbed Dance of the Dragons, which is House of the Dragon. So it's 2-3 years in there, and that comes almost 100 years before Robert's Rebellion. And then year 0 is Aegon's Conquest. I don't know if that has any meaning to anybody. It looks like that might be either from a book or an animated series. Just based off of the artwork that Culture Crave included there. But Aegon's Conquest is year 0. 129 to 131 AC is Dance of the Dragons. And then 282 AC is Robert's Rebellion that happens in Game of Thrones. The storyline is adopted from Fire and Blood, which is the storyline only plotted for 3 to 4 seasons. So here it is. In season 1, 9 dragons will appear, Dylan. You're getting 9 dragons in season 1. The showrunners are Miguel Sapochnik and Ryan Condal, which I will pull those up for people to kind of get an idea of who they are. Sapochnik will be directing episodes 1, 6, and 7. Claire Kilner will be directing episodes 4, 5, and 9. And then Geeta V. Patel will be directing episode 8. And Greg Yaitanis will be directing episodes 2, 3, and the finale, episode 10. And here is the schedule for everybody. Episode 1 drops this coming Sunday, August 21st. Episode 2 will be August 28th. Episode 3 will be September 4th. Episode 4 will be September 11th. Episode 5 will be September 18th. Episode 6, September 25th. Episode 7, October 2nd. Episode 8, October 9th. Episode 9, October 16th. And then the finale will drop on October 23rd.
It's got a good run. It's going to be interesting to see, like, from, I guess, people like you who might be tuning in for the first time, because you're just going to be watching it for what it is, and then people who watch the other show, we get to see a prequel of like existing characters and houses, because the whole point of Game of Thrones, right, is like it's like the royalty aspect, and like the namesakes mean so much. Like Game of Thrones, you have a couple houses like Targaryen, Lannister, etc. That, you know what I mean, just completely rule the show. Or try to.
So Miguel Sapochnik, who will be one of the directors for episodes 1, 6, and 7, and he is a showrunner as well. Dylan, these are the episodes of Game of Thrones that he directed. Season 5, Episode 7, The Gift, and Episode 8, Hard Home.
Ayo.
2016, Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 9. I think this might get you very giddy for this episode that he directed, Dylan. He directed Battle of the Bastards.
Have you seen clips for that?
I have not.
Epic. That's the GIF. You ever seen the GIF of, like, you know the character Jon Snow, right?
Yeah.
Kit Harington? You ever see the GIF? People do it on, like, sports Twitter, where he, like, takes out
the sword. Okay.
And everyone's charging at him. Yeah, that's from that.
So he directed Battle of the Bastards.
Goated.
And then he also directed Season 8, Episode 3, The Long Night, and Episode 5, The Bells.
Okay. So he does a lot of action.
So that is your showrunner and director for Episode 1, 6, and 7. Ryan Condal, for the people at home who may not know. Also, one of the showrunners here. He's from Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey, Dylan.
Hey!
Here we go. So his career here for credits, he worked on... He's a screenplay credit for the 2014 Hercules film. He was a co-creator and executive producer for the TV show Colony that ran from 2016 to 2018. He was a screenplay credit with multiple people for the film Rampage in 2018. And then he's also getting in here with House of the Dragon. Rampage was, I believe... Yeah, Rampage was that movie with like all the gorillas and Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah, The Rock. Yep.
So that is where his background comes from.
The Rock. I'm wearing a shirt right now.
Look at that. He won't. Ryan Condal won't be directing, but he is one of the showrunners. The rest of the directors, I'm going to pull them up here for the people to kind of give them an idea of who they are.
The Lord of the Rings show comes out soon too.
Yes, and we do have news about that as well. Claire Kilner will be directing episodes 4, 5, and 9. Some of her recent credits are The Mosquito Coast, a TV series from 2021. Debris, The Alienist Angel of Darkness, Pennyworth, Krypton, Trinkets, Sneaky Pete, Claws, Delicious, Child POW, which was an independent film in 2011. She is from the UK, I believe. Yeah, she's an English film director. Best known for directing the films How to Deal in 2003 and The Wedding Date in 2005. So not a Game of Thrones background, but... Mm-hmm. Very prestigious and very, respected film director from
there are people
England.
all the time that direct like outside the wheelhouse and kill it. Just you could be a romance, like you could be a rom-com and direct. Like look at Jordan Peele. He did basically like with his best buddy like SNL-esque type humor skits, and he's over here directing these dystopian, you know what I mean, like sci-fi realism horror movies.
Let's see here. So then episode 8, Geeta V. Patel. Some very interesting projects here. She was part of Fresh Off the Boat, one episode back in 2017. That show is fantastic with our boy Jimmy Woo.
Jimmy Woo.
Let's see here. She was part of
Jim from The Office?
5 episodes of Superstore from 2016 to 2018.
Okay.
Another very funny show. She will be part of House of the Dragon as well. And
House of the
see
Dragon.
here. She's Emmy-nominated Sundance filmmaker, known for her emotional, form-pushing, and non-traditional style in both comedy and drama. Geeta and her brother Ravi were nominated for an Emmy for their film Meet the Patels. The film premiered theatrically in 2015 and was executive produced by Academy Award winner, IMDb's making me click to further
My
read.
toxic trait is that whenever I hear the Rings of Power, I just think of it being like a karate movie.
Their film premiered theatrically in 2015, was executive produced by Academy Award winning Geraldine Dreyfus. Geeta served as cinematographer, writer, producer, editor, and director of the film alongside her brother. So having some Sundance Film Festival background coming in for episode 8 with the emotional, the comedy. I like that aspect a lot. And then our final director, Dylan, Greg Yaitanis. I apologize if I'm butchering.
Okay, you're trying.
Let's see here. American television director. Pulling it up here. Let's see.
I was looking. He's the brains flowing.
So Yaitanis has directed and produced shows including Damages, Lost, Prison Break, Heroes, Banshee, and Grey's Anatomy. His Emmy Award came in 2008 as a result of his work.
That's a wide array of things.
On House MD. He's also one of Twitter's original investors. So we've got a number of things here for him, and he is married to Kosas founder Sheena Zadeh, who competed in season 1 of the American version of MasterChef in 2010 and finished in 13th place. And they have a daughter who has an incredible name, Electra. Shout out to Daredevil.
Yeah.
But those are your directors for House of the Dragon. Dylan, knowing all of this information that we have here, knowing your information on Game of Thrones, knowing that this is a prequel series,
here we go.
What are your expectations going into Sunday night?
Dude, it sounds fucked up, but low, brother. Low. I'm so scarred after how bad they ended the initial Game of Thrones OG show. The first 4 seasons were goated, literally good TV. The 6th season's not bad. 7 seasons and then the 8th season there's one episode that I would say it's good. The rest is just shite. So my point is, if the trend continues, this show will be amazing for 75-85% of it, and then there'll be a little dog shit at the end. So episode 1 should be great, Kyle. It'll have us hooked. It'll just rip our freaking hearts out towards the end and poop on us.
I hope you all know, if you've listened to this podcast for as long as we've been doing it, which, Dylan, wildly enough, we're 11 episodes away from the big hundo.
Woo!
If you've been listening long enough, you know my rant with Game of Thrones, and why I'm not a fan of it, and why that show I have a personal vendetta against that show.
You need to give Lord of the Rings a chance, though, because I know you're not a Lord of the Rings guy, and that's something I think you would like, because that's a little more...
We'll be giving that a go as well once the show drops. I'll get all caught up and everything there.
If you're going to get caught up in the OG movies, you're going to have to put aside a whole day, my guy.
Luckily, my travel schedule will be dying down soon. But
I just did that. It took a whole day to watch all 3.
My expectations for this show is just give me as much action, as many dragons as possible.
This should do that. If it's following the Robert's Rebellion, it's very bloody, because he literally overthrew a kingdom to become king. And then the one family, they're akin, they're tone with the dragon. They are the one with the dragons, they rule the dragons. So they used to conquer stuff with dragons. So when my army, your army, Kyle, we got to use the BS stuff like horses and catapults. They're just I'll have my dragons.
Forget about it.
I'll have my dragons fly over and scorch them.
It's like Winnie the Pooh with the raised eyebrow and tuxedo on.
And you see moments of that in Game of Thrones. You see what 2 or 3 dragons. They decimate an army of thousands of soldiers. So, like Kyle said, we've seen that before. Now imagine that times two or three. Imagine 9 dragons. What can 9 dragons do? And it's probably pure chaos.
It's going to be wild. We will be covering this show. It'll be Dylan's taking of the reins, if you will, and giving me the fill-ins that I may need and kind of educating the people.
I'm sure he'll go one of two ways, people.
So it's going to be a wild ride for sure. But with that being said, we got a lot of news and notes to get into. So let's get to everybody's favorite segment. It is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by our good pals over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com and start playing the hottest headlines in sports. Rack up points on your fan profiles. Cash them in for prizes on the Pickup Marketplace.
Rack 'em.
That's playpickup.com, ladies and gents. Dylan, we talked about Chris Evans and She-Hulk earlier.
America's ass.
He did react to the She-Hulk premiere.
Laughing emojis, right?
with 3 laughing emojis and the zippered mouth emoji. That was his reaction to the premiere. I don't know if this will get you happy or not, Dylan, but a little anime news.
It's about One Punch Man?
One Punch Man Season 3 is officially in development.
You need to watch that one, Kyle, before you watch anything else.
I knew that was going to get you hype. I knew that was going to get you hype there.
I literally have a Funko Pop of one of the superheroes in that show. You know what his power is, Kyle?
Get you with one punch.
No, it's not. That's the main character. No, it's the side character. His power is there's like 3 tiers of superheroes. He's like the lowest tier. He rides a bike.
So he's Lance Armstrong.
He has a bicycle. It's funny.
Dylan, earlier this week we got the first trailer for Wednesday, which is Tim Burton's take on the Addams Family live action that will be streaming on Netflix this fall.
Photos for that.
Very excited for that show.
Yeah, it's kind of a property that hasn't been done too much. Like it's been
OG. Hit more on the animated side recently.
True, live action rather is kind of left to be desired, like in a good way. Like we want more.
Some House of the Dragon news for you, Dylan. It has no meaning to me, but I'm sure it will to you. The Cat's Paw Dagger returns in House of the Dragon.
Interesting. Trying to remember what that is real quick though, because it's been so long. Cat's Paw Dagger. I have to Google that. I'm a fake Game of Thrones fan.
Looks like one of the blue people is using it to stab somebody in the throat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that will return in House of the Dragon.
That's Valyrian Steel. That's like a really okay.
Some more anime news on a show we never really finished covering, but it's out there for the people.
I know exactly what it is now.
Star Wars Visions Volume 2 is expanding past anime, Dylan. Quote from Deadline, we have studios from Africa, Chile, England, Ireland, France, and India.
I knew exactly. Dude, that's like one of the shows that if someone's a long-term listener, they're like, hey, wait a minute. You guys never finished that.
Let's see here. We have Mark Ruffalo. He's getting these quotes in, Dylan. Not only did he say he would do a World War Hulk movie, he has also gone on the record now and said there's not going to be another Avengers film without She-Hulk.
Feed me, Hulk War. Me want Hulk War. Me.
That's
Hulk
what
War.
he's hearing. And Tatiana Maslany was surprised to hear this with the simple quote, "What?"
Me want Hulk War.
So we've got that. Dylan, we also have one of our favorite things to talk about recently on this program. The most subscribed streaming services update. An update on the streaming wars.
Oh, no.
Dylan, clocking in In 8th place with 13 million subscribers, it's Peacock. Clocking in at around...
Peacock's like, I'm just here for the vibes, man.
It's just like, just play the Office theme and shut up.
That's all we got going for us.
Clocking in with about 25 million subscribers, one of the more underrated platforms in you and I's opinion, Apple TV Plus.
This is 12?
That is clocking in at 7th place with about 25 million subscribers. The next one in 6th place, another very underrated streaming platform in my opinion, with 43.3 million, so a pretty big jump there from 7th place to 6th place, is Paramount Plus. And then in 5th place, not too far ahead of Paramount Plus, at 46.2 million, Hulu.
Wow, it's almost like the one that's regoing its whole thing isn't bottom. Wow, crazy. Sorry, I'm still salty about HBO.
Clocking in 4th place at 52.8 million subscribers.
Better be HBO.
HBO Max.
Yeah, that's right. Because if it was like 1 or 2, I was going to flip out.
Clocking in 3rd place. This one's kind of interesting, Dylan. Big jump, too, to get into the top 3 at 152.1 million subscribers. Disney Plus.
Disney Plus makes sense because as soon as they announced that, I knew it was going to be like top tier, just because of the like kid friendly content, like all the access to all the Disney movies and shows. Like it's a parent's dream. Like pay a couple dollars a month and you're set.
Number 2 is going to surprise you, and I think in a lot of ways, because it's another big jump to get into the top 2.
Well, we haven't said Netflix yet, so I know that's either 1 or 2.
200 million subscribers. Prime Video.
It doesn't surprise me because everyone gets it with Prime.
And then, still at the top, if you come for the Kings, you best not miss, at 220.6 million subscribers, Netflix.
That also makes sense because Netflix, I feel like, is the most globalized. Like
that's very true.
Like, I feel like some of the other ones, like Paramount, Peacock, HBO, like I feel like other countries don't really use them as much. Whereas Netflix, some of their biggest content on the app itself is not even in English. Like Money Heist and Squid Games aren't English content. Like they're not, you know what I mean? And they're popular in the United States. And like vice versa, like a show like Ozark is popular in other countries, and that's the United States.
That's very true. And I think Netflix is kind of on the up and up again with the original content. A lot of new stuff coming out. I did get a recommendation for us of a show we should be watching called Lock and Key on Netflix. Heard very good things about it. Speaking of Amazon Prime, though, Dylan, they are dropping the first 2 episodes of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, on September 1st at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
Oh, I gotta stay up late.
And then new episodes will then release on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Pacific time, which will be midnight Eastern time.
We're going to be so busy. Please, streaming services, give us a break.
First 2 episodes, Rings of Power, September 1st at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll get a nice little tasty treat there.
Before then, folks, because Kyle said he'll do it, I'll make sure he watches The Lord of the Rings.
And then, what do I have here?
You, me, and Matt can watch it. Matt's a big Lord of the Rings guy.
Matt's a big Lord of the Rings. We might just have to get him on for the Lord of the Rings breakdowns.
I'll get some pizza, you know, make it a day.
I'm going to make you feel real old, Dylan.
Oh, why you gotta do that?
15 years ago this week.
Jesus, that's more than half my life, Kyle.
Superbad released.
Oh, what a classic comedy that.
One of the best comedy movies of all time.
It is. That's like nostalgia. I am McLovin.
So here we go. Embracer Group has acquired the rights to Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Opportunities to create movies around iconic characters such as Gandalf, Aragorn, Aragorn and Gollum are going to be explored. This one's interesting to me too, Dylan, because September 21st, we got a big 3-episode premiere. I don't know if you saw this. Andor's, coming up. Rogue One's going to be re-released in theaters, and they will be showing nice little sneak peeks at Andor in the theater.
Maybe we have to go.
Might be a vlog opportunity. Might have to go vlog us going to the movies, going to the cinema, if you will.
Some movies. I'm down for that.
Also returning to AMC theaters this weekend to honor the late great Olivia Newton-John. Grease will be in AMC theaters this weekend. Each ticket costs $5, and $1 for every ticket sold will be donated to breast cancer research.
That's a good way to honor her. I like that.
Kevin Feige made the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness crew watch What If Episode 4 before they started production, saying, you guys better watch out, because this shit's good.
This is job security, or vice versa. Like, you might get fired for these people. No, that's awesome. But tell me why you said Kevin Feige, and I thought you were going to say Kevin Bacon. I don't know why.
I'm more of a Kevin Sausage guy myself.
I wonder what Kevin Bacon's up to these days.
I do wonder. That is an interesting thing to wonder.
Yeah, right?
I would say.
He's a cool actor. I like Kevin Bacon, so I don't know. I'm gonna Google him. I'll keep talking.
I don't know if this is going to blow your mind like it blew my mind earlier this week, Dylan.
I'm listening.
Earlier this week, we celebrated the birthday of an iconic actress out there, Jennifer Lawrence. I don't know why I thought she was older than she is. How old do you think Jennifer Lawrence turned on August 15th, Dylan?
29.
32. I don't know why I thought Jennifer Lawrence was older than she is, but when I saw that she turned 32, I said, holy shit, I'm just old.
What? I figured out what Kevin Bacon's up to.
What is Kevin Bacon up to? Let the people know, Dylan.
Starring in, and I'm laughing at how obscure this is. Like, the concept of the movie is interesting. So it's a movie called They/Them, right?
I have heard about this.
And it's a Peacock original. It's
yes.
a horror slasher film. So the tagline on IMDb is a group of teenagers at an LGBTQ plus conversion camp endures unsettling psychological techniques while being stalked by a mysterious mass killer.
I have seen things about this.
So essentially they were like, hey, you know how the people suffer in the Friday the 13th movies? Let's make these poor kids suffer more. They're struggling to find out who they are and come to terms with themselves. Then we're going to add a serial killer on top of it, and it's probably Kevin fucking Bacon. Interesting. Bold choice, Peacock. So that's what Kevin Bacon's up to. Or apparently, no, it actually already released.
Yeah, I think it's out now.
Yikes. Hey, I know IMDb is not the place to go see ratings, but it has a 3.4. So take that for what it is, folks.
I think this movie will get more than a 3.4, Dylan. October 27th, 2023, we are getting the 10th installment in the Saw franchise. New Saw movie coming out in 2023.
How many times can people get...
How many times do people want to play a game?
Do you want to play a game? I'm over it. I'm over it.
Are you over this? New Line wants to make a Dr. Evil movie.
Nah, I'm intrigued by that.
If Mike this is a quote from Puck News. If Mike Myers would stop soiling his brand with crap like the Pentaverate. Oh man. Let's see here. Dune the Sisterhood is still moving forward and casting has begun.
What? That's crazy. Also, I think we should do this more often. I think one of us should say a random actor, and we should just do a quick little research while the others, and just be like, what is blank up to? And then, because we're also letting people know. Like, I'm still on the Kevin Bacon
that
thing.
should be like our fan poll of every week. Just tweet us random actors.
Because like Kevin Bacon's in a movie coming out called The Toxic Avenger, and naturally, given what we talk about, I was like, "What, superhero stuff?" And then I read it, and I was like, "No." Actually, no, it might be, but either way, Elijah Wood, Peter Dinklage, Kevin Bacon, and Jacob Tremblay are in the same movie. I'm very intrigued.
It's one hell of a cast.
I'm very intrigued of what's going on here.
Speaking of Toxic Avengers, Dylan, David Tennant is down to return as Kilgrave in the MCU, the villain from Jessica Jones.
Nice, and I did see that they're filming a Constantine show on HBO.
Yes, that is still going forward. Let's see here. One of our favorites, Viola Davis, is going to play the villain in the Hunger Games prequel film.
She's born to be a villain, so that makes lots of sense.
Her character, Dr. Volumnia Gall, is the head game maker of the 10th annual Hunger Games.
Interesting. I think I watched like one Hunger Games. I didn't hate it.
This one's going to piss you off because we always talk about not everything needs a universe and not everything needs to be remade. Dylan, I don't know if you're ready for what I'm going to tell you is
Kyle,
in development at Warner Brothers of all places to get a remake.
They're already on our shit list, so let me stop walking at Kevin Bacon stuff. Go ahead, brother.
A Wizard of Oz remake is in development at Warner Brothers.
No one asked for this. What the fuck? You can't. Oh my god, the same studio that won't make a gosh darn Batman sequel, but Wizard of fucking.
Man, the quote from another one of our favorite people, Ewan McGregor, isn't really interested in joining the MCU. Quote, I'm in the Star Wars world. I'm not looking for that. I feel like I shouldn't say I wouldn't do it because in 2 years' time, you'll be like, you said you were never going to do this, but I'm not looking for it.
Good. I think actors are entitled to stick to like one franchise if they want to. Like a world like that, you know what I mean?
Another one of our favorites that we'll be talking about later on this year when The Mandalorian Season 3 drops. Giancarlo Esposito said he met with Marvel Studios years ago for a TV role, Dylan. And do you want to know what he says he thinks that role was?
He thinks it was for Loki, right? But I don't know what.
My guess is either it was for classic Loki that Richard E. Grant played.
Yeah.
Or instead of revealing Jonathan Majors, they were going to make Giancarlo Esposito He Who Remains.
I could see that.
That was my guess.
Oh, speaking of news, I watched the Uncharted movie. It got added to Netflix recently.
I did see that.
I don't know if I liked it.
Maybe we'll review it next week.
It was okay, I guess.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, Rogue One will be re-released in select IMAX theaters on August 26th and include an exclusive look at Andor. Let's see here.
I watched that Chris Pratt show, though. I finished it on Amazon. It's called The Terminal List.
I heard good things about that.
Dude, see, that's the same example of people bad-mouthing or bad rating She-Hulk. The same thing is happening to Chris Pratt's show because of a couple of things that he said and because of the show is like a war thing. So like that has to stop. Like if you're a critic, you cannot be biased. If you don't like action war like genre, you can't just go purposely tank the next Saving Private Ryan because you don't like that. And vice versa. Like if you're how those asshole sexist 30-year-old men, you know, like obviously, well, yeah, that's a bad example because they're terrible human beings. So
they're probably the same people.
Yeah, it's true. They're just, but like, you get what I'm trying to say. Like, stay in your wheelhouse or try to keep an open mind. Like, occasionally I'll throw in like a love movie or something random and I watch it and I might like it. So like, you can't just see, oh, it's Chris Pratt, oh, it's war and not like it because I loved it. I thought it was very good, very good.
Yeah,
show.
I heard really good things about it. Dylan, She-Hulk has her own Tinder profile to promote the series.
I saw that. I saw memes about that on Twitter. People were like, imagine finally getting your first match, and it's She-Hulk. It's like not even real.
Kendrick Lamar's We Cry Together short film is eligible to be nominated for Best Live Action Short Film at the Oscars.
Okay.
Get my man an Oscar. Let's see. I forget if we talked about this or not, but Netflix confirms Love, Death, Robots Volume 4 is happening.
Let's go. I'll actually, someone recommended me Tokyo Vice on Paramount.
Okay.
To watch. I think it's Paramount or HBO. I got to double check. But it's about like a Western journalist who's in Tokyo and then, crime.
Mark Ruffalo has been in the news a whole hell of a lot this week, Dylan. I don't know if you caught this quote from Metro UK from him. He says, I think you're going to agree with this take. If you watch Star Wars, you're pretty much going to get the same version of Star Wars each time. But with Marvel, you can have a whole different feeling within the Marvel universe. With Star Wars, it might have a little bit of humor, it might have a little bit of a different animation, but you're always really in that same kind of world.
I guess when you break it down, he's not wrong. I think that's kind of an insult, and not his fault. It's an insult in terms of like Star Wars needs to take more like creative liberties and like do stuff outside the box, because it's literally Star Wars is literally like galaxies. Like so like you can do whatever you want, but they follow the same like 8 people. But we know how I feel about that. But no, I do, and the goddamn sand planets, as Kyle knows, my love for the sand planets in Star Wars. No, but I agree. Like Marvel, like you get the POV of a superhero who has no powers and like jumps from building to building, and you get the POV of a superhero that can time travel and like hop across dimensions. So it's quite different styles of pacing in movies. Whereas Star Wars is usually space opera or space western, generally speaking. Or like space... No, I can't even say space heist movie. But like, actually, that'd be kind of cool, space heist Star Wars.
Yes.
Like an Ocean's 11, but Star Wars. Did I just accidentally say something that would be fire for Star Wars?
Mando, Black Chrysanthemum, Boba Fett.
Just Bounty Hunters galore.
Bounty Hunters 11. Babu Frig. Also, Dylan, I know we've brought this up a couple times with a sequel to The Batman, Matt Reeves' new Batman with Robert Pattinson not having a green light yet. The project remains in development. Any future film is years away, allegedly. And Matt Reeves is also still planning his Penguin spinoff.
Okay, so I'm pissed about this, and we know that when Kyle and I rated it, I like the Batman more than Kyle. But that's not to say Kyle did not dislike it. I think we both speak like, how do you fumble the bag that bad? The movie almost grossed $800 million. It's like it was like 110th or like 14th or something all time for gross movies in the history of like movies. Like, so it didn't bomb. It made money. It has a 7.9 rating on IMDb. It has like 70s or 80% in the Rotten Tomatoes. Like nothing about it's bad. Like it made money. It didn't get bad reviews per se. Like it averaged above average reviews. Like literally everything. Robert Pattinson was good in that. You agreed to that. The Riddler actor was good. And then they're just like, no, I don't really feel like it.
Literally. That's literally like what they're doing.
Like, what are you doing?
This one will make you laugh, Dylan. The Simpsons season 34, which is wild to think about that there's 34 seasons of The Simpsons, is going to have an episode that addresses how they've managed to, quote, predict the future.
That's going to be really watched. Because they are always getting stuff right. And also, I know it's no like diss against The Simpsons, but I don't know anyone who actually watches The Simpsons anymore. I don't know how it stays on. Like, I mean, it gets watched, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know. Like, no one casually when I'm hanging out with the guys at work or at the bar or whatever, friends, no one's like, did you catch the episode of Simpsons last night? Like,
you know who is a big Simpsons fan? Matt Castorina. More specifically, the Treehouse of Horrors episodes, but he is a big Simpsons guy.
Respect that.
Dylan, you want to yell more at HBO Max?
You're setting me up. Yeah. What?
Apparently, Cartoon Network has removed many Infinity Train related videos from their YouTube channel, including the pilot, as it has come out today, or at least this week, that HBO Max is continuing to remove properties from the platform. Warner Brothers Discovery is removing Close Enough and Infinity Train from HBO Max this week.
I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
It's just so unfortunate.
I did do some research though. The newer CEO of the companies is very cutthroat, and he's the same CEO that I forget. For some other brand, they had a $300 $300 million like streaming service, and it tanked and it got canceled. And the dude canceled it like the weekend after, like the initial weekend. Like let's say it started like a Friday or Thursday, he canceled it on like Sunday because it didn't do well enough. So like my point is, this guy's cutthroat, which is why you see like the Batgirl thing and these shows being ripped left and right, and shows that were kind of successful also being discontinued or allegedly rumored to be discontinued, and also the firing of the staff. And point is, like, he's not afraid to save money and do it any means possible. Like full like rebuild.
Couple last ones here. I don't know if you saw this, Dylan. Jeanette McCurdy obviously played Sam Puckett on iCarly, not in the reboot of iCarly that has been renewed for season 3 at Paramount Plus. She is officially a #1 New York Times best-selling author following the release of her memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, which goes into some crazy, just like unfortunate shit that she had to deal with growing up with her mom being very manipulative, being very controlling, causing her to have an eating disorder to kind of maintain weight for her being on TV. And it also goes into all of her interactions with Dan Schneider, who everybody knows is a complete scumbag, and, you know, was manipulating kids on the sets of numerous Nickelodeon shows. But she has gone and all the way to the top, a #1 New York Times bestselling author, following the release of her memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died. And I don't know if you knew this too, Nickelodeon allegedly offered her 300,000,
right? 300K.
300K to like hush hush and not say anything, and she said, "Go fuck yourself."
Dude, can you believe that?
It's nuts.
It's disgusting, and it every year, every month, every week, we get some bombshell, and you just further get reminded of how disgusting, like, Hollywood and that culture truly is. And it's saddening, you know, think like how many child stars, like, it comes at a price that shouldn't have to be the price. Like the only price a child actor should have to pay is like missing fucking school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like nothing else. Like it's simple. Like they're young. There's kids. Like you have these creeps, and it really makes you think. And I'm sure going forward though, like parents will probably be less reliant and willing to let their kids become child actors because of how many insane stories we've gotten.
Yeah, shout out Jeanette McCurdy. Absolute, you know, fucking incredible shit to just say fuck you.
Yeah.
Tell your truth, and she's a rock star. Some more Warner Brothers casualties, Dylan. Warner Brothers Discovery is removing.
It's like we're in a fucking war, dude. Like the front line's not doing so good, Chief.
Warner Brothers Discovery is removing the Not Too Late Show with Elmo from HBO Max this week, which was Elmo's night show.
If Elmo can get cut, no one's safe.
Nobody is safe. David Itzkoff tweeted, Elmo wanted to keep your show, but David Zaslav said no, as a quote, as Elmo would say it.
Speaking of shows, I forgot to mention, I heard the Blackbird show is good on Apple TV.
I did hear that too. We did get our first look at the trio from the upcoming Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief show coming to Disney Plus soon.
Oh, they fumbled the bag so hard with the earlier one when we were kids.
Yes, this cast looks very awesome. excited for that one. Let's see here. Mastertainment from New Rockstars tweeted out a pretty awesome take, being that our girl Leslie Grace just lost out with the Batgirl and everything. He says, I think Marvel Studios should ask Leslie Grace to come in to audition for Nadia Van Dyne, the Unstoppable Wasp.
I'd like that.
I would dig it. I'm down for that. You guys all know, if you know me, I'm a big Leslie Grace fan. And then, let's see here, just a little bit. Just making sure I didn't miss anything.
Covered a lot today. It was a good episode. A lot of news, a lot of tinfoil hat, rambling.
A lot of fun. It works. She-Hulk was great. It's House of the Dragon preseason. That'll be out on Sunday. I'm sure Dylan will be tweeting up a storm about how annoyed or how impressed he is by it. One way or another.
Either a powder keg or like rainbows. No in between.
So fire up your dragons. Get ready. It's going to be a wild ride. But make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter, on Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. And like I said, once we get to 300 followers on Twitter, Dylan's going to put us in the bio. So make it official. Make it official so all the ladies know to stay away from Dylan. He needs StreamerSZN in his podcast bio.
And I'll buy more nerdy stuff as we go on.
Yes. You can follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple and Spotify. And Dylan, on the Apple Podcast reviews, what the fuck should the people be doing?
They should be leaving reviews. And in those reviews and comments, if you're on YouTube, you should be leaving suggestions and recommendations for Kyle and I to watch. It could be on any streaming service because we got them all. And if we don't, we'll find them. Or like Liam Neeson, I have a very particular set of skills. I will find you. And
I will find you, and I will watch you.
Let us know what to watch, guys. Like, let us know. Like, anything. Literally, just throw it out there, you know? Like, we're open.
Let us know. Slide in the DMs, or leave a comment on the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, where you get full video episodes of StreamerSZN and all of your favorite Underground Sports Philadelphia shows on our YouTube channel. We're on that road to 1K. And once we get to 1K, it's going to be a big fun time because Dylan's going to cosplay as one of our favorite show characters of all time. Just saying. Yeah. So go subscribe.
It's open to vote, too, if you guys want. Well, actually, that could end poorly for me. Maybe not.
So go subscribe to the YouTube channel. Smash that like button. Click the bell icon so you don't miss a single episode of StreamerSZN. Coming out for the next 9 weeks at least, every Friday. And, of course, comment down below with what you're watching and all of your thoughts on She-Hulk, House of the Dragon, and everything else in between. Big thank you to our sponsors, Tomahawk Shades, Pickup, Kenwood Beer, and Bino Board. All of their info is linked in the show notes on audio and in the description on YouTube. This has been another episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Dylan, I'm Kyle, KB, and we're going to go Hulk out. So, see ya!